Hi, it's Laura at Aquamarine18 Tarot and Books. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome. I am here to share my November 2024 TBR, which means holy shit, it's almost November 2024, and also means I've stuck with making TBRs way longer than I thought I would, so I am pretty pleased with myself in that regard. I've come up with a TBR of 6 books totaling 2,187 pages, which is on the slightly lower end of the number of pages that I've been averaging each month. I do have a couple of books currently on the go, a tarot book and a creative writing book. So I want to finish those, but in this video I'll just talk about the books that I intend to start and finish in the month of November, not the things that I've already started and already talked about, in some cases multiple times. So in terms of constructing this TBR of 6, I didn't choose any particular kind of theme, but what I did do was just think about what I wanted to read in terms of what I already have. The result is a TBR that includes 2 hard copy books that have been on my shelf for a while, and 4 ebooks, all of which are arcs from NetGalley. I have fallen a little tiny bit behind in my arcs on NetGalley, and so I want to get caught up. For folks who are unfamiliar with NetGalley, which is where you can request and obtain ebooks for review purposes, one of the things that is important on NetGalley is to maintain a good percentage of books read. You don't want to be just requesting tons and tons and tons of books and then not actually posting the reviews, because obviously then publishers are going to stop giving you things, right? My percentage is good. It's recommended to be above 80% reviewed, and I am just there. But I like to review the books right around when they're being released, and there are a handful that the release dates have now actually passed. So my reviews aren't actually in advance anymore. So I want to get those read, and I'm excited about all of them. So I'll talk about the fiction first, all of which is comprised of NetGalley books, and then I'll share the 2 nonfiction at the end. So the first book on my TBR, which is in not really any particular order, is called The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart. This is a epic fantasy novel that I believe is intended to start a trilogy. This caught my eye because it includes a pact with a deity and also magic that involves crystals. And these just sounded like interesting themes to me. I've never read Andrea Stewart before, though I know this is definitely not her first work. I've heard of her work before, but I have never picked up one of her books. So this will be my first. I've been reading science fiction a lot longer and a lot more than I have been reading fantasy. And so I still feel like I'm kind of figuring out being a fantasy reader in some ways. And I'm keen to try new contemporary fantasy authors, really anytime something kind of stands out to me or looks interesting. And this is one of those. So that is a 448-page novel. The next book on my TBR is The Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey. This is a 560-page novel that is the beginning of a series. For those who are unfamiliar with them, James S.A. Corey is actually the pen name of 2 authors who write together, who are responsible for the book series, which is quite a lengthy book series, that became the television show The Expanse. I have not read those books, but I loved the series very much. I really, really like The Expanse. I would actually rewatch the whole thing. I thought it was fantastic. And this is their new series. So The Mercy of Gods, is a science fiction novel of, I think, a similar kind of sweeping, broad scope as The Expanse has. And this one involves a kind of hive mind alien civilization that attacks humanity and kidnaps a bunch of people. And so this follows one of the people who is taken. I have no idea with James S.A. Corey, how many books they're intending to have in this series. I mean, if The Expanse is any indication, it could be 10, right? But I'm keen to try it. I thought that in terms of trying one of their novels, which I never have before, I would like to try something other than The Expanse, since because of the television series, I already have such a kind of pre-familiarity and a set of preconceived opinions about The Expanse that the book may or may not, I don't know how close the book and the television series are. My understanding is there's quite a bit changed. I would like to get to know them as authors through something that I don't already have a frame of reference for, if that makes sense. So The Mercy of the Gods is that, and I'm excited to give it a try. The third fiction on my TBR is called Out of the Drowning Deep by A.C. Wise. A.C. Wise is another author who I've never read before. This is a 176-page queer novella, and I understand this novella to have both science fictional and fantasy elements, and to follow an attempt to figure out who murdered the Pope. That's what I know about this novel. I have not read any reviews, or novella, excuse me. I have not read any reviews. I'm going in with very little kind of information, deliberately so. Queer sci-fi fantasy is going to catch my attention, and I do love a novella. So, Out of the Drowning Deep by A.C. Wise, I'm looking forward to reading and sharing my thoughts about. So, that's 3 of the 4 fiction that I plan to read in November that are authors who are new to me, strictly speaking. James S.A. Corey's work I'm familiar with in other contexts, but I've never read one of their novels. I've never read Andrea Stewart at all, and I've never read A.C. Wise. So that's exciting. The 4th novel that I will be reading in November, that I can't believe I haven't already read, to be quite honest, because I've had the advanced copy for a little while and I'm very excited, but I restrained myself, is by an author that I've read a ton from, and that is Absolution by Jeff Vandermeer, the 464-page 4th installment in the Area X trilogy that clearly nobody expected. So I read the Area X books quite a long time ago now. I saw the film Annihilation, of course, which is based on the first book of that series. I've also read several other Jeff Vandermeer books, which I've talked about here at different points. I really liked the Area X books a lot, and when there came to be news that Absolution was going to come out, I might have squeaked a little with excitement. I am so excited for Absolution. I know that it is structured in 3 parts, which is not uncommon in Jeff Vandermeer's work, in that there will be often kind of sections, and each one involves a new expedition into Area X that we as the readers have not read about before. I am anticipating a really, really good read. If I was a faster reader and more of a rereader, I might go back and just reread the entire Area X trilogy before getting to this, but I know myself well enough to know that I'm not going to do that. So I'll be going into Absolution with there having been years since I've engaged with anything Area X, and I'm very excited to return. So that's the fiction. 3 quite long novels and 1 novella. For nonfiction, I picked 2 books off of my shelf. The first one is a collection of essays by someone's work that I absolutely adore, and that was a gift. And that is Space Crone by Ursula K. Le Guin. This is a collection of essays on a very wide range of topics, but really focused on gender and feminism. It spans 50 years of her work, and the essays have their dates provided in the text. So you can see here, each one will have the year included there. I have read some of these. A lot of these I think have appeared in other places. I have read Is Gender Necessary? The Redux. I have read Le Guin's Bryn Mawr Commencement Address. And I have read her foreword to Murray Bookchin's book, The Next Revolution. So I have read 3. There's an introduction and conclusion in here that I don't think appear anywhere else, so I definitely haven't read those, and I haven't read the others at all. I would say that Ursula Le Guin is easily one of my top 5 favorite authors of all time. When I was teaching university courses in gender and feminist studies and adjacent disciplines, feminist philosophy, for example, I taught Ursula Le Guin's work. I used to teach The Left Hand of Darkness in a 3rd year university philosophy class for a couple of years. Her work is very important to me and very special to me. And I'm excited to read more of her essays, in particular as I try to finish working through another of her books. As I mentioned, I have a few things on the go. I am still working through Steering the Craft. So I feel like having her nonfiction voice in my head from a number of different sources will be really nice. I'm really taking my time with this, but I am having a good time. The other nonfiction that I plan to read in the month of November is an anthology that I've had sitting on my shelf for way too long, that I have been meaning to read, and that is Disability Visibility, edited by Alice Wong. And this is a book that came out around, the back of the book tells us, the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And it includes a number of different kinds of writing. It includes essays, I think interviews, manifestos, eulogies, and so on. And features, of course, a diverse range of contributors. It's organized into 4 sections called Being, Becoming, Doing, and Connecting. And I've read, nothing but positive reviews of this book. I've had this book recommended to me before. And so when I saw it in the bookstore, an embarrassingly long time ago now, I picked it up and I just haven't gotten there yet. So November is the month. I will be reading Disability Visibility. That is my TBR for November. Now, for December, I thought about a bit of a TBR challenge for myself. I'm trying to think of ways to make the TBRs a bit more fun. I always have fun when I'm working with something like a readathon with a bunch of prompts, or the TBR cards, something to kind of structure things a little bit and give me something to work from rather than just kind of putting together a bunch of titles that I happen to want to read. So I think for December, I am going to challenge myself to, first of all, construct a TBR and actually read the whole thing, which we know that I don't always do, but I'm going to actually aim to do it. And I am going to see if I can construct a TBR for December that ends up containing all 5-star reads for me. I've been thinking about this ever since Heather of Bookish Downtime did a video about star ratings and whether they matter or not, and I VR'd rambling some thoughts about star ratings and reviewing books, and it did get me thinking, well, could I make a 5-star TBR? Obviously, this would involve probably a lot of choosing books by authors that I've already read, and so have a strong sense that I already, know that I really like their work. I would not be including any rereads though. So this is my plan for December. I don't know if it even makes sense or if it's possible, but I feel like it would be really epic to read nothing but books that turned out to be 5-star reads in a given month. And I have some books on my TBR that I have very strong hopes and a strong sense that they will be 5-star reads for me. So that's my plan for December. I'll be thinking about it from now until then, adjusting my list. Okay, if you're reading anything interesting in November, let me know in the comments below. I always want to say description box, but you all can't edit the description box. If you have read any of the books that I've mentioned here, let me know. If you are as fucking excited about Absolution as I am, let me know. If you also love The Expanse, let me know. I don't talk about television a lot on this channel, but I really liked it so much. So much. Anyway, I will see you all again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.